Sean Diddy Combs sentenced to 50 50 months behind bars, about 4 years and some months. Some said this is too short, others said this is too long. His supporters, the Diddy supporters. But Combs was sentenced Friday in New York on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs was sentenced Friday in New York, 2 months transportation, engaging in prostitution. Attorneys for Diddy said they have a strong basis to appeal the judge's sentence, which they described as unconstitutional. Speaking to reporters outside the courthouse, defense attorney Mark and said Judge Aram used the word coercion at least a dozen times during today's sentencing hearing, even though the jury found there was no coercion. Well, I think it's kind of hard considering the charges that was levied against Diddy by the government that it's kind of hard, even though he was only convicted of the prostitution, the other things were going to spill over. So yeah, even though he wasn't found guilty of all these other things, it was going to spill over into the opinion. I felt like the judge tried to give a middle ground. I think the state or the government was asking for 11 to 20 years. That was never happening. I knew she wasn't going to let him out immediately because they wouldn't even let him bond himself out on $50 million. Like, they wouldn't even let him bond himself out to just not sit in a cell. So I knew they were going to give him some time, but I think 4 years was the middle ground. He won't serve obviously the whole 4 years. It'll be 2 years in a pop. He'll be home by end of 2027, middle of 2027 maybe. But yeah, Virginia says too short, but him getting time is more surprising. And that's why the name of the episode, Blind Justice. But as you can see with the thumbnail, the money weighing the scales instead of actual justice. I feel like, I think to the people that are celebrating this, are in support of Diddy not being sent to jail for 10 years because they consider the Mann Act to be racist and only used against black men, yada, yada, yada. If the average civilian got hit with this, he probably would have been found guilty of all charges. So the same way his fame and celebrity might have jammed him up, it also saved him, obviously. But I don't think, I can't say that he definitely, based off the charges, should have gotten more. I'm saying that if he wasn't a celebrity, he would have gotten more. But yeah, we think that unconstitutional. He said, we think a jury verdict should mean more. Well, as we know, when it comes to these type of cases, the victim impact statement always means something. And if you kept up with this, you know that Cassie wrote a very, very tearjerker letter to the judge. You know, the victim impact statement, expressing all the things she went through with him, the things he forced her to do, how she had to learn him and his yeses and nos and all this other stuff. Basically, all of the abuse she had to withstand, obviously. What I want to say is, are we going to finally tell the truth and say that this woman was actually a co-defendant who's writing in a victim impact statement? In a case where y'all didn't even talk to the people y'all are calling victims, which was the prostitutes who were men, you didn't even put majority of them on the stand. They've done the interviews, the men involved in this Diddy situation, and they've called Diddy a gentleman. They said Diddy pays well and yada, yada, yada. They haven't really painted the picture of Diddy. And obviously when you're a person who's in that type of lifestyle, that underworld, underbelly, sex lifestyle, certain things are more normalized to you than in the public, obviously. So the way Diddy was moving is normal to them, at least somewhat. But they didn't paint him the same way the state and Cassie and people are trying to paint him. They treat him like a typical dude with money and had a sex addiction or whatever. So I don't know. I do think that the 4 years, like I say, he won't serve the whole thing. He'll be back. Now the question becomes, what happens when he gets out? The Sean Diddy Combs goes right back into music. Do he go quiet for a few years? Do he kind of go cold turkey and just leave off social media, leave the limelight for a decade or so, just trying to get away from the public? Or do he go full blast right in the middle of it, go on to get interviewed by somebody of his choosing, obviously, handpick somebody? Maybe what's the name of the girl he's dating? The young Miami chick. Maybe his first interview is on her podcast that he funding, obviously. That'll be interesting. And how will he be received by people? Will it be the R. Kelly effect where people will still listen to the music but think he's a piece of shit person? Or will he be fully blackout? Nobody's doing business with him in the industry. We're moving on from this. Will he become a black mark on people? I don't know. Because the same way you had a whole bunch of people cussing him and saying all type of crazy shit stuff about him during the trial, the second he was found not guilty, a lot of these people changed their voice. A lot of people changed their perspective. A lot of people started semi-defending him, not full throttle going all the way, but they started already trying to change their opinion somewhat. So we'll see how that goes. Attorney Gloria Allred said Combs has to pay the price for what he did. Speaking outside of Manhattan Courthouse, Attorney Gloria Allred called Judge Aram very thoughtful and said Combs has to pay for the price for what he did. Allred said she represents alleged victims of Combs who were concerned he might walk free by the end of the year. I think they'll be happy he'll be in prison for a number of years. But what does that stop, though? If he's so dangerous to you, then him being in there for 2 years and getting out is not, I don't understand. And aren't those people in lawsuits with him, civil, trying to get money? So, I mean, they still going to have to. When the sentence was read, Combs showed little emotion in court. He looked at the judge and then looked down. Combs shook his head when the judge was talking for his impact in the case. When the judge talked about the impact on the kids, Combs also shook his head. Afterwards, Combs turned toward his family and tapped his heart. He said to his children and his mother, "I love you, I'm sorry." Then he said, "I'll be okay," as he gathered his papers and walked out with the marshals. What's next for the civil suits against Combs? Sean Diddy Combs was sentenced to over 4 years in prison on prostitution-related charges. NBC News legal analysis, Christian, they talked about what they think will happen in the video. I'm not going to play it. But yeah, finally, you got the number. Wasn't as high as some people wanted it. It is what it is. We kind of knew what was going on. Or I knew. I kind of felt like I'm kind of shocked he got 4. I did think he would get like some more so 2 years and some probation and be out, and maybe by the end of the year, maybe top of next year, he would be getting out. But it is what it is. Did he be back in a few years, and we'll see how the industry reacts to him.